welcome to Diecast Restos. My name is Jason and I have here for you today a 21D Foden Concrete Truck. It was in Lesney's Matchbox range from 1968 and joined the Superfast range in 1971. It was deleted and replaced by the rod roller, yes, a hot rod steamroller, in 1973. This model had a mechanism which turned the cement drum when the second axle turned, though it's not working on this one. The mechanism was removed when it was converted to Superfast. Aside from the broken drum, the model has blotches of blue or purple paint on top of its severely scratched red and dark yellow paintwork. It also has some of the worst condition rolling wheels I've ever seen, save for ones that maybe had been melted, for instance. Here's the only image of the S24 Foden the model was based on that I could find. I mean, it's still in better condition than the model is, I think. Get ready to wince. Replica parts aren't available for this windscreen, but somehow it remained usable. The drill bit just crunched at the windscreen instead of removing the rivet edge. Anyway, the two metal parts are now ready for paint stripping. Here comes the caustic soda. British truck manufacturer Foden introduced a glass reinforced plastic, or fiberglass, tilting cab in 1958. This led to the manufacture of the first British mass-produced fiberglass tilt cab, designated the S24, as featured on this diecast. These S24 units were produced until around 1967. I go into a bit more of the history of Foden in my 10C sugar container restoration from last year, so do check that out. Now, with all the body polished, I begin scrubbing up the plastic pieces. First the wheels, then the spiral that rotates the drum, then the drum itself with the cog on the end that turns with the axle. Gently I wash the cracked windscreen, careful not to damage it further. And then I move on to removing any rust from all four axles. Each of the 8 wheels are coated in Citadel Gloss Nuln Oil. Again, I carefully work some Autosol metal polish into the windscreen to eradicate any blemishes that I have not caused, I might add. Next, I dunk the polished windscreen into some Astonish wood floor polish for added sparkle. Then I fish it out and leave it to dry under a plastic shot glass. Now I spray on Tamiya white fine surface primer. All looks well on the cab, ready for the yellow. And the chassis gets a light grey primer ahead of the red paint. There are some nice small details on this model. There's a marking that reads S&P on the right hand side, and some ladders and some controls on the left. Tamiya TS8 Italian Red is the chassis colour of choice. Here's a close-up of the chassis again. Lovely intricate details, lots of nooks and crannies to get into though as well. And here the cab receives a coating of Tamiya TS34 Camel Yellow. I've only once previously used this shade, that was on the 20C Chevrolet Impala Taxi. It should dry to a dark yellow similar to how the original would have looked when new. I turn my attention now to fixing the attachment for the drum. Originally, these were fixed in place with a regular axle pin, before being changed to an extended plastic moulding. So I've got myself a narrow rod of styrene, which I'll superglue to the drum. I've had this styrene for ages and finally found a decent use for it. I'll trim off an extended piece first of all. Then I'll check that it will suitably fit when glued together. I've had to cut open my superglue here, hence the odd angle. The lid had glued shut and broken in the process of trying to remove it. These parts stick together with minimal effort. Then I use a pencil to mark lines on the styrene where I need to cut it down to size. I check it all fits okay and that it rotates. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. Of course, I can't leave it white, so I mix up some white paint with a touch of X6 orange to match the shade of the drum. I then simply paint it on. The Superfast version with the rotating mechanism removed had a base plate to cover over the spindly new axles. This came in green, so these models were quite multicoloured. I tap on the wheels to the axles, and here you can see the spiral gears rotating freely with the axles once again. I coat the ends of the axles with chrome paint. And now it's time to reassemble. First, the glass is carefully pressed into the cabin. Then, after rearranging, the drum is fitted to the chassis. The cog on the drum connects with the spiral gear in the axle. Then the cab covers over the cog and slots into the tongue on the front. It is secured by clipping the two narrow rivet posts in place. So here is a reminder of how the 21D Foden Concrete Truck looked to begin with. It's a bit forlorn really, with the scruffy paint, damaged wheels and broken drum. Like I said earlier, those wheels were in an absolutely shocking state. Anyway, this is what this mixed up mixer looks like now. Ah yes, much fresher with a lovely coating of TS34 camel yellow, teamed with TS8 Italian red. The wheels, although still showing minor damage on one or two, look much better than the before footage. My plastic repair work keeps the drum in place, allowing the drum to rotate in sync with the axles once again. One small sign of damage on the left window, a slight crack in the top corner but barely noticeable. I cleaned up the rest of the windows as best as I could, likewise with the plastic drum. Anyway, that'll be it from me for today. If you've liked the video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.